Story 1. The Man in Apartment 6C. There was something off about the man who lived in Apartment 6C. I didn't know his name. No one in the building really did. He moved in during the middle of winter, no furniture truck, no bags, just him and a small black suitcase. I only noticed because I was heading upstairs with groceries and he didn't hold the elevator. Just stared at the floor numbers the whole ride up. At first, I thought he was just quiet. He didn't speak to anyone, never got packages, never used the laundry room. His blinds were always closed, even on sunny days. A few neighbors said they'd hear him moving around late at night, pacing. Sometimes humming. That kind of low droning sound people make when they think no one's listening. Then, things started happening. Apartment 6B, the one directly across from his, had a weird incident with their cat. The woman living there said her cat kept scratching at the door at 3 a.m. like it wanted out, then would sit and stare at 6C for hours. Not hiss. Just watch. She joked it was haunted. Then, one night in March, someone knocked on my door at 2:30 a.m. I live alone and I don't get visitors, especially not at that hour. When I looked through the peephole, no one was there. But I could hear footsteps, slow and heavy, going back down the hall. I checked the security camera feed the next morning. It only showed a single frame of someone walking out of the frame. The timestamp was frozen at 2 hours 29 minutes and 47 seconds, like the camera glitched. Then, Apartment 6C went silent. For weeks. No sounds. No pacing. No humming. Then the smell started. Management came up to check it out. The building super knocked for a while, then used a master key. I watched from my door as he walked in. 30 seconds later, he stumbled back out pale and shaking, mumbling, "Call someone. Now." The police came within minutes. They cleared the hall, but not before I saw one of the officers come back out and vomit in the stairwell. They wouldn't tell us what they found. Just said there was no one inside, and that the apartment had been abandoned. But here's the part that made everyone lose sleep. The apartment was completely empty. No bed. No furniture. Not even a toothbrush. The floor was clean. Scrubbed. Except for one thing. On the ceiling of the bedroom, scratched into the plaster like claw marks, was a single phrase. "I never left." They sealed off 6C the next day. No one's moved in since. Sometimes I still hear humming in the vents at night. And sometimes, I think it's closer than it used to be. Story 2. The Campground at mile marker 59. You ever get that feeling like something is watching you, but not just watching, waiting? That's how I felt the entire night we camped at mile marker 59. It's a free campground off an old Forest Service road in northern Utah. No ranger station, no cell service, and only one way in or out. My girlfriend and I were road tripping through national parks and decided to stay there because it was quiet and remote. Too quiet, actually. We were the only ones there. That first night was peaceful, cool breeze, crackling fire, and a sky full of stars. But around 2 a.m., we both woke up to the sound of crunching leaves. Not animals. These were slow, heavy footsteps circling our tent. I whispered, "Hello?" No response. Then the sound stopped and didn't come back. We figured it might have been a deer, but something about the way it moved didn't sit right. It had weight. Like it was deciding something. The next morning, we found footprints. Not boots, bare feet. Large, human-sized, and deep. They circled our tent twice, then led off into the woods. We packed up and moved sites, deeper into the campground but closer to the car. That night, we kept a fire going as long as we could. Just past midnight, I saw something. Across the clearing, about 30 yards away, a figure. Just standing between the trees. Not moving. Not speaking. Just there. My girlfriend saw it too. We didn't even breathe. I shined a flashlight at it, but there was nothing. Like it vanished. That was enough. We decided to leave. As we drove down the gravel road back to the highway, we passed the same clearing. Headlights swept across the woods, and for a split second, swear to God, we saw it again. Not running. Not chasing. Just watching from the edge of the trees. We didn't stop until we were 2 towns away. The next morning, I went back online to see if anyone else had weird experiences at that spot. Turns out, a lot of people had. Posts going back years, people reporting the same things. Footsteps. A figure in the woods. That same mile marker. But the worst was a post from 2013. Someone had found a trail cam in those woods. They posted one image from the night their camera vanished. It showed a man, shirtless, barefoot, standing inches from the lens. Mouth wide open. Eyes rolled back. And in the corner of the photo, the metadata timestamp was exactly 2:03 a.m. The same time we heard those footsteps circling our tent. We never camped again. Story 3. The Lost Tape from Locker 138. I used to work night shift security at a community college in Oregon. Most nights were boring, walking empty halls, checking doors, staring at monitors. That is, until Locker 138. It started with a complaint from a janitor who said one of the basement lockers was making a noise. He said it sounded like a TV on low volume, static, faint voices, maybe some music. I figured someone had stuffed a radio in there or was pranking us. So around 3 a.m., I went down to check it out. The hallway was freezing. Like, colder than the rest of the building. I found Locker 138 at the very end, and sure enough, I could hear something behind the metal door. It was faint, but off. Like voices layered on top of each other. I opened it slowly. Inside was one item. A VHS tape. No label, just a piece of masking tape with the number 4 written in black marker. I didn't even think the school had VHS players anymore, but I found one in the old S/V room. I popped in the tape and sat down to watch. That was a mistake. The footage was shaky and dark, grainy like it was recorded decades ago. It showed an empty hallway. Probably this same building. The camera stayed fixed for a while, and then, a figure walked into frame. A man, maybe 40s, wearing a white t-shirt, barefoot, staring straight into the lens. He didn't blink. Didn't move. Just stood there. Then something whispered. I couldn't tell where it was coming from. The speakers? The hallway? The man on the tape started moving again, not walking, just twitching forward in fast, unnatural bursts. Frame by frame. Like something was dragging him closer. And then it cut to static. But the static kept going. I hit stop, nothing happened. Tried ejecting the tape, it wouldn't budge. Then, through the static, a face flickered in the screen. Not the man, something else. Pale, stretched too wide. Eyes that didn't blink. I slammed the power button and ran. When I came back an hour later with the morning crew, the tape was gone. And so was the VHS player. The locker had nothing inside it anymore, just rust flakes and something scratched into the back wall. It watches the watchers. I quit a week later. But a few nights ago, I swear on my life, I got a package in the mail. No return address. No note. Just a VHS tape. And a piece of masking tape with the number 5. Story 4. The Apartment That Wasn't There. Back in 2019, I was helping my cousin find a new place to live in Chicago. We checked listings constantly and eventually found a great deal. 9th floor, historic building, newly renovated, rent way below average. Only thing was, it didn't exist. I don't mean that as a figure of speech. I mean that literally. Here's what happened. We found the listing on a lesser-known rental site. No contact phone, just an email. My cousin messaged them, and within hours they responded. We could view the unit that evening, apartment 9F at, redacted, West Belmont Avenue. The building looked normal enough from the outside. A bit dated, but clean. We buzzed in, took the elevator up, and followed the hallway all the way down to 9F. The door was already slightly open. That should have been the first red flag. Inside, the apartment was strange. Perfectly clean, but empty. Not no furniture empty, more like sterile. The walls were freshly painted, but there were no light switches. No vents. No outlets. Just smooth white walls and 2 interior doors, one to the bathroom, one that was locked. We called out, no answer. No landlord. Just silence. I remember asking, where are the windows? Because I realized there weren't any. Then my cousin walked into the bathroom and stopped cold. There was a mirror, but it didn't reflect us. It showed the room, the door frame, but not us. Just empty space. He said, let's go. We turned around, but the front door was closed. I swear I never heard it shut. I grabbed the handle. Locked. Deadbolt. From the outside. I started to panic. There was no signal. No way to call for help. I banged on the walls, but they didn't sound like drywall. More like metal, covered in paint. Then the locked interior door clicked open. We didn't open it. No one came out. We didn't go near it. We sat by the entrance, barely speaking, trying not to freak out. 20 minutes passed. Then we heard footsteps in the hallway. Relief flooded me. I screamed for help. Suddenly, the door opened. But it wasn't the hallway anymore. It was an empty stairwell. No lights. No sounds. Just concrete steps leading down into darkness. We didn't take them. We ran into the bathroom, broke the tiny window in the back wall, the only opening we hadn't noticed before, and climbed out onto the fire escape. We never looked back. Later, we returned in daylight. The building was there. But it only had 8 floors. There was no 9th floor. No apartment 9F. No record of any listing. And every single window on the top floor? Bricked over. Story 5. The Man in the Orange Vest. I used to work for a roadside assistance company. You know, jump starts, lockouts, flat tires, that kind of thing. Most calls came in during daylight. But one night in October, dispatch sent me to a stranded vehicle on County Road 93. It was almost 11 p.m. cold. Windy. Moonless. The GPS couldn't even find the spot properly. I had to follow handwritten instructions from the caller. The location? An old logging road about 30 minutes from the nearest town. Dead-end stretch. No houses. No lights. When I finally got there, I saw the car, a black Honda Civic, parked on the shoulder with its hazards on. And standing about 20 feet behind it, motionless, was a man. Wearing an orange safety vest. I got out of my truck and called over. Hey! You the one who called? No answer. He didn't move. Didn't acknowledge me. Just stared at the woods across the road. I walked up slowly, keeping distance. Sir? Everything okay? Still nothing. Then I noticed the Civic was empty. No one in the driver's seat. No keys. Doors locked. I turned back to the man. But he was gone. Not walking away. Just gone. Like he'd blinked out of existence. I ran a circle around the car with my flashlight, skinned the tree line. Nothing. Weirded out, I called dispatch. Told them there was no client, and the scene felt off. They told me to leave if I felt unsafe. As I turned to walk back to my truck, my headlights went out. The whole vehicle, dead. Like the battery had been ripped out. And in that second, I saw something in the rearview mirror. Movement behind the Civic. I turned. There he was again. The man in the vest. But now he was closer. Just standing in the middle of the road. Still. Watching. I backed up slowly and got into the cab. And then he smiled. Not friendly. Wide. Wrong. Like someone who just figured out you're trapped. I locked the doors and slammed the ignition. Nothing. Dead. So I hit the high beams manually, the ones rigged to an auxiliary battery. They flicked on, and in that moment, he was right next to my window. I screamed. Rolled out the passenger side. Ran into the woods and didn't stop until I hit the highway. Some trucker picked me up an hour later. I filed a police report the next day. But here's the thing. There was no call from that location in the system. No car. No record. Nothing ever logged by dispatch. And the vest? The officers said there had been reports years ago of a man luring people off the road wearing construction gear. Never caught. I quit that job the same week. But every time I see someone in an orange vest now, I check if they blink. Because that man, that night, he never did. Some of these people were never found. Some came back, but never truly returned. And some, like the man in the vest, might still be out there, standing at the edge of the woods, waiting for someone else to follow the wrong road. Whatever the explanation, one thing is clear: the scariest stories are the ones that never got answers.